they are coming up. But yeah, from a Q&A point of view, let's see. I'll grab my handy list of questions and make sure they're covering it, because I put that question box up just to capture them all. So we've got 8 questions, right? So I will try and work through them all. So Joanna McKay says, could you advise on how to stop nursing baby to sleep, especially at nap time, how to teach them to fall asleep by themselves without a boob, and the baby's 10 months old. So yeah, so from we covered this a little bit in the settling, so you might want to think about going back over that. That was day 2, having a look at that, Joanna. But the key thing, it depends on your journey and your preference with it all. So for me, I would be thinking about kind of practicing at bedtime. I wouldn't focus so much on the naps to begin with. I'd try for one of those 2 naps that you're probably on per day. But at bedtime, especially because you've got more time, a bit more kind of sleep pressure that's built up, and start just to try and navigate away with it. My favourite thing to do with a child that's kind of dependent on feeding to sleep is to offer it to a partner or, you know, kind of husband, if they're available, or another family member, to help, because often that closeness of feeding to sleep can be quite difficult to navigate away from. So you might want to move from your feeding to sleep to perhaps rocking to sleep, and then over time thinking about kind of more drowsy but awake, and then placing down in their sleep space in their cot a bit more awake each time. That's the kind of the gradual steps to getting there. You can shortcut that and just go with you know, kind of putting them down in the cot, offering them reassurance, picking them up, making sure they're kind of getting there. And that can be a little bit of a shorter way of doing things, but it depends on kind of where you're at with it all. And I don't want to sort of profess to know what your situation is entirely. So those are your kind of options. And obviously, if you need more support on that, then please do get in touch. And I'm happy to look at a relevant support package for you. So let's move on. So we've got Kate Tong. I've got a 3.5-year-old who goes to sleep really well, but has been waking and coming to our bed at 2, 3 a.m. So ends up sleeping in our bed. Any suggestions, please? Yeah, I did talk about this again in the night wakings. I know not everyone's seen them, so I'll just put you towards that. A key thing is looking at kind of what's going on with the daytime. Is your child in a good state of tiredness before going to bed? And then how are they settling? What are they waking for in the night? If they're waking because they've needed help to go to sleep, try and adjust that. If they're waking because they've had a nap in the day, or they've gone to bed too late and they're overtired, or too early and they're not tired enough, then address that. And then you get down to kind of perhaps creating a more conducive environment. So talking with them about what you want to happen. Talk to them about how you want them to sleep through the night. Give them a visual kind of reward type chart that you'd reward every morning. So don't build up to rewards. I think they lose track of it. And then stay consistent. Think about your boundaries. Think about taking them back, being persistent with it so that they get the message. And then obviously kind of working with them on it. I think it's got to be about that consistency. We often talk about kind of the little tricks, such as it's a bit like the kind of marble jar. I don't know if you've seen it. So you have kind of like marbles in a jar, and every time they wake you take one out, and at the end of the week you can assess how many they've got left and you can reward them based on that. Something like that can work. Depends on the age of the child. I know the age, but it just depends on how the child is able to converse with you. Okay, cool. So Maria Montioli, I hope I said that right, probably not. How can I get my 7-month-old to wake up later than 5 a.m? I can't anymore. I'm fine with night awakes, just not an early start. So I've just talked about that on the beginning of this video. So have a look, or on the other video if you've not seen it, and the early rising video. Have a look. Could be overtiredness, so check your daytime sleep. Could be the settling, especially if they're waking more times in the night. You might want to kind of think about whether the settling's waking, and just kind of look at the routine of the day and see what's happening in the settling, because that could be your key things of approaching it. Often it's a case of a child that's dependent on something and is waking, or has had not enough or too much sleep in the day. Those are the key points. Right, Alexandra Hunter Burns. My 6-month-old is fed to sleep at night, which in itself is not a problem for us. She'll often wake around 10 and be settled to sleep, but then wake around 12, 1, not resettle in her cot. Will fall asleep if picked up, but no matter how asleep we get her, will wail as soon as she's put down. She's sleepy, but this pattern will go on for 30 to 60 minutes. Any tips would be great. So you say that you're kind of happy feeding to sleep. So I'm not trying to change this. I'm just trying to say that there's a possibility that what you're seeing is that she's waking because of that knowledge and that dependency on feeding back to sleep. I'm guessing you're probably trying to feed her there. So if you kind of have the other option, or the other possibility, is that there's something going on in the daytime that's affecting that wake up. So have they got too much sleep? So at this age, you're looking about 3 hours total daytime sleep. So you might be kind of thinking about where you are in that zone and whether that could be causing any issues with what's happening in the middle of the night. So consider all of that when you're looking at it. But it could just be about the kind of the settling, but a decision for you to make, not for me to obviously tell you to change. But do get in touch if you need more support on that. Right, Hina Kataria. Hi there, my daughter is 17 months old. She naps between 12:30 and 1:15 and bedtime is 7. Great. She starts to take longer to settle. She used to fall asleep by herself and not cry. Now she cries for a good 20 to 25 minutes and tends to wake up a couple of times at night crying, but then falls asleep to wake up at 6:30. Should I be bringing bedtime earlier or pushing it later? Okay, so I think, she's only napping for 45 minutes. I would be perhaps trying to encourage a little bit more sleep for lunchtime. I don't know if you're waking up for that, and just assessing what's going on in the afternoon. So is she tired? Is this overtiredness that you're seeing, or is it a kind of a undertiredness thing? And so then you'd adjust accordingly. So if you think she's overtired, which is like that sort of fractious, upset behavior, rather than the cheeky kind of undertired behavior, then overtiredness, you bring the bedtime earlier. Undertiredness, make it later, if that helps. Okay, so Claire Gale, my 10-month-old wakes between 4:45 a.m., 5:30 a.m. every day, multiple wake-ups, naps are being fought. Okay, she used to go to sleep well, but in the last month, she's fighting that too. Tried earlier, later bedtime, stirring before we go to bed. Tried less and more sleep in the day, white noise, blackout blinds. Okay, she's just not sure whether she's going to get too much sleep. Any advice? Well, it seems like there's lots going on there. One thing I don't know is how your child is falling asleep, and I think that maybe what you need is to have a consistent approach that might be looking at more independent settling, because that sort of sounds like there might be some things going on there that you might be getting, might be helping your little one to sleep. The routine itself isn't anything remarkable to say. Change maybe is slightly no, that second nap's okay. So maybe just think about the settling and what's going on. Think about the kind of the options that I laid out on day 2 and see if there's anything in there that you'd think about trying. It's also possible that, again, I don't know whether you've got dummy in play, that could be causing issues. If you need to look into it further, obviously, something like Sleep School or maybe a kind of a call might help you to, get to the bottom of it. Okay, so Stephanie Metzger, I have a similar issue with my 17-month-old. She's recently been unwell and now wakes up every night and won't resettle unless she comes into our bed. I'm 33 weeks pregnant, so really need to try and stop this before a new baby arrives. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so this is kind of going to the bed. Yeah, have a look at the fundamentals. Have a look at the kind of the daytime. So you're looking at kind of a 1 nap strategy normally for this age, middle of the day up to sort of a couple of hours, and look at what's going on with the settling, and perhaps because after illnesses, sometimes you just need to revisit things and get back on track. So I would kind of just take a step back, think about the things we've talked about, and maybe make some changes. And if you need any help, of course, just let me know. Right, I'm just going to see whether there's anything else that's popped up. Okay, Donna has put a question in. How can I stop my 1-year-old daughter waking up too early? She wakes at 6 a.m, ready to start her day. Also, what is the latest to put her for a nap in the afternoon? Okay, so I talked about early rising kind of earlier on in the video, but I think it's important to have for a 1-year-old, you're normally on 2 naps. And so you want to kind of work out the awake time. So normally we look at about 2.5 hours-ish sleep in the day. Doesn't matter whether it's in the morning or afternoon, or also the length of the nap in the morning, afternoon. Just try and balance it so that you've probably got somewhere around sort of 4-hour awake time maximum, minimum 3 hours after that last nap finishes. So if you've got a bedtime of 7 o'clock, that'll be the nap finishing at 4. You might need to switch bedtime to 7:30, something along those lines, but don't let them sleep past that, because otherwise you're going to find it hard to settle. And so there might be, because you've asked that question, I'm guessing there might be something going on with the early rising with that, in terms of maybe your structure of the day needs a bit of a tweak to help with what's going on with the early morning. But I would also say 6 o'clock is probably the earliest I'd say is acceptable, and lots of people would love that. I spoke to parents yesterday, 4:30 a.m. they've had for 2 months. So 6 o'clock is kind of okay, and it just, sometimes you just have to go, okay, it's all right. If they're sleeping well before then, it's probably one of those things that you need to just adjust your world to as well. Okay, I'm just going to check to see any other questions. I'm just going to refresh the page just in case before I kind of sign off. I think that might be it. So unless there's any kind of live questions, which I'll just check in a second, but I will finish off in just one moment when I can find it. Doesn't look like it is. So that's it. That's my Q&A done, which is fab. So thank you for all your questions. I would love to know. I'm going to put a little poll up and see how things have been going for everyone this week, and make sure that you've got the help that you need. And don't forget that if you need any more support, I'm here for you. Offer a variety of services to meet your budgets, including my sleep school, which I'll say again starts next Friday. So I can't wait to get started on that with everyone. But thank you very much. I'm going to go and just chill, I think, for the afternoon, because it's been a little bit of a busy week. So take care, have a lovely afternoon, enjoy the sunshine, and sleep well. Bye.